There are many classic pieces of art which invoke intense emotion. Some so much so that rumors circulate that they are haunted, even cursed. But there is only one painting with a documented history of inducing insanity, a work so disturbing, galleries refuse to display it. Members of the art community even called for its creator to destroy it. The place was St. Petersburg, Russia. The year was 1885. The artist was Ilya Repin. Repin was a leading figure of Russian realism in the late 19th century, celebrated for his masterful ability to capture psychological depth, emotional truth, and social complexity. His paintings often depicted scenes from everyday Russian life. Peasants, laborers, revolutionaries, and historical figures with unflinching honesty and empathy. Repin rejected academic idealism in favor of portraying real human suffering, moral struggle, and the raw power of emotions. His art fused technical precision with dramatic realism, exposing both the grandeur and the torment of the human soul. A typical example of his work is the painting Barge Haulers on the Volga, painted between 1870 and 1873. This monumental painting depicts exhausted men dragging a heavy barge along the Volga River under the blazing sun. Repin's raw realism and humane sympathy transformed a scene of labor into a universal symbol of endurance and social injustice. Or Repin's work, Religious Procession in Kursk, painted between 1880 and 1883. This vast, crowded composition portrays a rural religious procession teeming with peasants, clergy, and local officials. The work's energy and realism reveal Repin's gift for depicting both the unity and divisions within Russian society. But in 1883, Repin began a project that would prove to be his most chilling and controversial work. The subject matter was Tsar Ivan IV and a dark incident of Russian history. Ivan IV, or as he is known today, Ivan the Terrible, lived up to the name history bestowed on him. He was a tyrant, evil in character and temperament. On the 19th of November of 1581, Ivan had an argument with his son. Consumed in a fit of rage, Ivan struck his son with his pointed staff. In an instant, the Tsar's emotions changed from one of rage to that of grief and horror, as he realized the blow he had struck to the head of his own son was of lethal force. It was this scene in history that Repin set his mind to capture on canvas, and he set about it as he did with all his previous works, immersing himself deeply in emotional study. But it did not take long before it became obvious to friends and colleagues that something changed in him, and things were taking a shadowy turn. Repin secluded himself, surrounded by sketches of corpses, hospital patients, and madmen. He visited morgues to study the faces of the newly dead, and he brought strips of bloodied linen back to his studio to see how the stains darkened overnight. Neighbors said that in the small hours they heard Repin pacing, muttering to himself in the lamplight. Repin's friends had good reason to be concerned. Repin grew tormented to depths he had never before experienced. To quote the artist himself, "I painted in tears. I was tortured. I tormented myself. I corrected again and again what I had painted. I hid it in a sickly disappointment. No longer believing in my strength, I erased what I had painted, and I was attacking the canvas again. Every minute was terrible to me. As the painting took shape, a ghastly scene slowly revealed itself on the canvas. Tsar Ivan IV, his eyes bulging in horror, cradles the lifeless body of his son. The blood seeps between their hands. The son's head lolls pale and slack against his father's chest. Yet it isn't the brutality of the act that unsettles viewers the most. The most horrific element is found in the look on Ivan's face, that wide-eyed, wordless realization that no repentance will ever undo what he has done. When the painting was finally completed in 1885, Repin told a friend, "It took something out of me that will not return." Those words were prophetic, for within a few years, the hand which he had used to create the work withered from a mysterious paralysis. To continue his art career, Repin was forced to relearn painting with his left hand. In St. Petersburg, people whispered that the Tsar had taken something from Repin in return for being made to live again. Repin named the work Ivan the Terrible and his son. From its first exhibition, the painting left a trail of hysteria. Men wept. Women fainted. One critic collapsed after only a few minutes of staring into the Tsar's eyes. Eventually, authorities had the painting removed from public display for being too disturbing. On April 1st, 1885, viewings of the painting were forbidden. It was the first painting to be censored in the Russian Empire. Many in the art community pressured Repin to destroy the work, which he refused to do. Ivan and his son remained shuttered away from the public eye, until the intervention of the painter Alexei Bogolyubov managed to lift the government ban. And then came the insanity. The 16th of January, 1913, a fellow artist, 29-year-old Abram Balashov, entered the gallery to view Ivan and his son. Balashov wanted to see the controversial work that he had heard so much rumor about. When he beheld the painting, Balashov stood transfixed, staring at it for nearly half an hour. A great agitation overcame him. He began to tremble, then pulled a pocket knife from his coat and began slashing the canvas, repeatedly screaming, "Stop the killing!" He was restrained, but not before he did incredible damage to the work. Balashov did not recover from his sudden madness. He had become uncontrollably insane, was confined to an asylum. The story of this painting doesn't end with a single act of madness. More tragedy was soon to follow. When the curator of the Tretiakov Gallery, Georgy Kruslav, heard about the vandalism, he rushed to see the damage for himself. Eyewitnesses said that as he looked upon the slashed canvas, it was as if a dark shadow fell over his spirit. Kruslav left the gallery, walked to the nearest railway line, and threw himself in front of an oncoming train. The painting, however, survived. With the help of Repin himself, the masterpiece was painstakingly restored, almost back to its original state. But as the Soviet era began, the painting's dark reputation only grew. Whispers of more attacks and more sudden fits of insanity circulated, but Soviet censorship quickly suppressed any official report. They didn't want rumors of paranormal forces spreading. Still, they quietly installed protective glass over the canvas, a silent admission of the continued threat. It wasn't until after the fall of the Iron Curtain that more documented attacks came to light. The most recent incident happened on May 25, 2018. A 37-year-old man named Igor Podporin, who had been calmly viewing the art, suddenly grabbed a metal stanchion pole. Witnesses said his eyes went glassy, and he whispered something unintelligible before launching a frenzied attack. He shattered the reinforced glass and tore the canvas in 3 different places. Once again, Ivan and his son was restored, cleaned, and sealed. Perhaps it's all just the power of suggestion, our minds playing tricks on us when faced with such a powerful blend of genius and tragedy. But there are whispers, stories from those on the restoration team. They say if you stare long enough into Ivan's eyes, past the terror and the grief, you can see something more, a faint twitch, a flicker of awareness, of sentience, trapped beneath the paint. The legend goes that Repin, in his genius, captured the exact moment the Tsar's sanity shattered. And in doing so, he opened a door that can no longer be closed. And today, on quiet late nights in the Tretyakov Gallery, the night watchman still makes his rounds. He checks on room 10, where the painting hangs. But he doesn't linger. He follows the advice passed down from the guards before him. Don't stare at the painting, and never, ever look it in the eyes. Thank you so much for joining me on this chilling journey. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the unknown. We'll see you in the next one.